Scientists have recently classified love as a form of insanity. Poets, of course, have known this for centuries. So if you're suffering from the universal madness, use the poems in this programme to diagnose just how bad your condition is. Are you in love or just in lust? Have you found the real thing or merely a pale imitation?
Love is a universal migraine, a bright stain on the vision, blotting out reason. Symptoms of true love are leanness, jealousy, laggard dawns, our omens and nightmares, listening for a knock, waiting for a sign, for a touch of her fingers in a darkened room, for a searching look. Take courage, lover. Could you endure such grief at any hands but hers?
Robert Graves wrote about the relationship between love and insanity from first-hand experience. He once threw himself out of a third-floor window because his mistress, also a poet, had thrown herself out of the window on the floor above. Amazingly, they both survived. Here's another clinical diagnosis of the universal madness called love.
It's just this judgment bypass, nothing drastic. I'm told they do it without anaesthesia. It leaves your conscience supple as elastic. One of the side effects is mild amnesia. Facts get reshaped, pain slips your mind. Some blindness is normal. Sufferers claim to see heaven on earth, stars in dull eyes, wit in unkindness. This commonly resists all treatment given. It's not all bad. Granted, no flame retardant will work, but still the toxins are a tonic. The virus leaves you selfless, brave, and ardent. Anyway, once you've got the thing, it's chronic. Most people learn to live with the condition. What kills them is the terror of remission.
But despite its effects on your sanity, falling in love can have some unexpected health benefits.
There's not a Shakespeare sonnet or a Beethoven quartet that's easier to like than you, or harder to forget. You think that sounds extravagant? I haven't finished yet. I like you more than I would like to have a cigarette.
Sharing one umbrella. We have to hold each other around the waist to keep together. You ask me why I'm smiling. It's because I'm thinking I want it to rain forever.
It's very important when you get romantically involved not to confuse the idea of being in love with the real thing. I like this poem by Alice Walker because it very neatly sums up the difference between a frisky but passing fancy and the kind of affliction that makes you jump out of windows.
I'm really very fond of you, he said. I don't like fond. It sounds like something you would tell a dog. Give me love. Or nothing. Throw your fond in a pond, I said. what I felt for him was also warm, frisky, moist-mouthed, eager, and could swim away if forced to do so.
The rhythm of poetry, the way that the words glisten and slide against one another, makes it, for me, the most erotic medium. Take a poem like Grey Room by Wallace Stevens, which pulses with sexual tension. Its colours are cool. She sits in a grey room, plucking at her white gown. But underneath her gown, well, that's a different story.
Although you sit in a room that is grey, except for the silver of the straw paper, and pick at your pale white gown, or lift one of the green beads of your necklace to let it fall, or gaze at your green fan printed with the red branches of a red willow, or with one finger move the leaf in the bowl, the leaf that has fallen from the branches of the forsythia beside you. What is all this? I know how furiously your heart is beating.
That poem, Grey Room by Wallace Stevens, is a masterpiece of erotic restraint. This one, Wild Nights, is much more full-on. But what's so amazing about it is that the author of these sexy images of boats docking in harbours was actually a Victorian spinster living in New England who'd never seen the sea.
Wild nights, were I with thee, wild nights should be our luxury. Futile the winds to a heart in port, done with the compass, done with the chart, rowing in Eden. The sea. Might I but moor tonight in thee.
Adrian Mitchell's poem Celia Celia has quite rightly become a modern classic. Everybody needs an erotic daydream to cheer them up.
Oh, for God's sake. When I am sad and weary, when I think all hope is gone, when I walk along High Holborn, I think of you with nothing on. Celia, nice to see you.
Judging by the vast number of ecstatic morning after poems I've read, I would say that poets, like blondes, may have more fun. I love this poem by Hugo Williams. It's the verbal equivalent of that stupid but blissful postcoital grin.
Everyone who made love the night before was walking around with flashing red lights on top of their heads. A white-haired old gentleman, a red-faced schoolboy, a pregnant woman who smiled at me from across the street and gave a little secret shrug, as if the flashing red light on her head was a small price to pay for what she knew.
The morning after isn't always blissful. Sometimes you wake up feeling guilty and ashamed. Shakespeare's Sonnet 129 is a reflection on the way that lust can distort our better judgment, as our gleeful tabloids prove every day. Shakespeare's final couplet gets it spot on when he says, "All this the world well knows, yet none knows well, to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell."
Hi, it's Portia. Thanks for last night. You're amazing. Call me soon. Bye.
The expense of spirit in a waste of shame is lust in action. Until action, lust is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoyed no sooner, but despised straight, past reason hunted, and no sooner had, past reason hated, as a swallowed bait on purpose laid to make the taker mad, mad in pursuit and in possession, so had, having, and in quest to have extreme, a bliss in proof, and proved a very woe. Before a joy proposed, behind a dream. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well to shun the heaven that lead men to this hell.
Shakespeare's warning about the dangers of letting your hormones triumph over your common sense is echoed by the modern poet Connie Bensley.
Wake. For the dawn has put the stars to flight. And in my bed a stranger. So once more, what seemed to be a good idea last night appears this morning sober, rather poor.
There is an alternative to the endless cycle of lust and grief, thank goodness. I love this poem by Mandy Coe. It always makes me laugh. It won't make you thin, but at least you'll hang on to your self-respect.
Go to bed with a cheese and pickle sandwich. It is life-enhancing. It doesn't chat you up. You have to make it. A cheese and pickle sandwich is never disappointing. You don't lie there thinking, am I too fat? Too fertile? Too insecure? Your thoughts are clear. Your choice is simple. To cut it in half, or not to cut it in half. How thin to slice the cheese, and where you should place the pickle. From a cheese and pickle sandwich, you do not expect flowers, poems, and acts of adoration. You expect what you get. Cheese and pickle. You want, you eat. And afterwards, you have eaten. No lying awake, resentful, listening to it snore. Safe snacks. It comes recommended.
And if you're allergic to cheese, then Wendy Cope has the answer. The advice applies equally to men and women.
So keep sending in your poetry. This is one that was sent in by Wendy Cope. This is 2 Cures for Love. 1, don't see him, don't phone or write a letter. 2, the easy way, get to know him better.
Skin that flick, she's such a little DJ. Get that quick, my streets been on the freeway. Turn that trick to make a little.
There comes a time when everybody has to settle down. When I had Otti here, I was about the same age as Lord Byron was when he wrote his famous poem, So We'll Go No More A-Roving. Byron was living in Italy in self-imposed exile. He'd had to leave England on account of his so-called immoral behaviour, which included adultery, divorce, and a rumoured homosexual affair. The poem is part of a letter to his friend Tom Moore, written after a particularly heavy week carousing at the Venice Carnival.
So we'll go no more a-roving. So late into the night. Oh, the heart be still as loving, and the moon be still as bright. For the sword outwears its sheath, and the soul wears out the breast. And the heart must pause to breathe, and love itself have rest. Though the night was made for loving, and the day returns too soon, yeah, we'll go no more a-roving by the light of the moon.
I suppose the moment we all long for is the one described by the Scottish poet Edwin Muir in his wonderful poem, The Confirmation. It's the moment when we realise that we've left behind the brutal imperatives of lust, and that at last we found the right person, the one we knew was waiting there for us all along.
Yes, yours, my love, is the right human face. I in my mind had waited for this long, seeing the false and searching for the true, then found you, as a traveller finds a place of welcome, suddenly amid the wrong valleys and rocks and twisting roads. But you, what shall I call you? A fountain is a waste, a well of water in a country dry, or anything that's honest and good, an eye that makes the whole world bright. Your open heart, simple with giving, gives the primal deed, the first good world, the blossom, the blowing seed, the hearth, the steadfast land, the wandering sea, not beautiful or rare in every part, but like yourself, as they were meant to be.
Falling in love and finding your soulmate are different things. We can all be blinded by superficial attractions, but to find that someone who seems like they've always been part of your life, well, that's a different feeling. I think this poem by Maya Angelou is a gorgeous tribute to that ultimate romantic destination.
In every town and village, in every city square, in crowded places, I searched the faces, hoping to find someone to care.
I read mysterious meanings in the distant stars. Then I went to schoolrooms and pool rooms and half-lighted bars, braving dangers, going with strangers. I don't even remember their name. I was quick and breezy and always easy playing romantic games.
I wined and dined 1,000 exotic Jones and Janes, in dusty dance halls, at debutante balls, on lonely country lanes. I fell in love forever. Twice every year or so, I wooed them sweetly, was theirs completely. But they always let me go, saying bye now, no need to try now, you don't have the proper charms. Too sentimental and much too gentle. I don't tremble in your arms. Then you rose into my life like a promised sunrise, brightening my days with the light in your eyes. I have never been so strong. Now I'm where I belong.
Sitting here in the church where I got married reminds me that the gap between what we expect to feel and what we actually experience can seem unbearably great. I like this next poem because it expresses the ambivalence that many of us feel about love, marriage, and joint bank accounts.
Let's fall in love in our mid-30s. It's not only where the hurt is. I won't get smashed up should you go away for weekends. We both know no two people can be completely all-sufficient. But twice weekly, we'll dine together, split the bill, admire each other's wit. We will be splendid lovers, slow, well-trained, tactful, gracefully unrestrained. You'll keep your flat and I'll keep mine. Our bank accounts shall not entwine. We'll make the whole thing hard and bright. We'll call it love. We may be right.
But cynicism has no place on the wedding day itself. If you're looking for a sincere and joyous celebration of marriage, then there's no better poet than Tennyson, whose lines here create an irresistible soundscape of nuptial bliss.
Light so low upon earth, you send a flash to the sun. Here is the golden close of love. All my wooing is done. Oh, the woods and the meadows. The woods where we hid from the wet. Stiles where we stayed to be kind. Meadows in which we met. Light so low in the vale, you flash and lighten afar. But this is the golden morning of love, and you are his morning star. Flash, I am coming, I come. My meadow and stile and wood, oh, lighten into my eyes and heart, into my heart and blood. Heart, are you great enough for a love that never tires? Oh, heart, are you great enough for love? I have heard of thorns and briars. Over the thorns and briars, over the meadows and stiles. Over the world till the end of it, flash for 1,000,000 miles.
I remember reading this poem at school and being astounded that not only did people in the 17th century have sex, but they also seemed to enjoy it. I dread to think how many people since then have whispered lines from the Good Morrow to each other in bed. But then it's very hard to resist a poem that says, "For love, all love of other sights controls, and makes one little room and everywhere."
I wonder, by my troth, what thou and I did till we loved. Were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly? Or snorted we in the 7 sleepers' den? 'Twas so, but this all pleasures fancies be. If ever any beauty I did see, which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee. And now good morrow to our waking souls, which watch not one another out of fear. For love, all love of other sights controls, and makes one little room and everywhere. Let sea discoverers to new worlds have gone. Let maps to other worlds on worlds have shown. Let us possess one world. Each hath one and is one. My face in thine eye, thine in mine appears. For true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find 2 better hemispheres? Without sharp north, without declining west. Whatever dies, was not mixed equally. If our two loves be one, or thou and I love so alike that none do slacken, none can die.
Brace yourself now as we shift from the sublime metaphysical conceits of John Donne to Roger McGough and his decomposing milk bottles.
10 milk bottles standing in the hall. 10 milk bottles up against the wall.
Next door neighbour thinks we're dead. Hasn't heard a sound, he said. Doesn't know we've been in bed the 10 whole days since we were wed. No one knows and no one sees, we lovers doing as we please. But people stop and point at these. 10 milk bottles are turning into cheese.
10 milk bottles standing day and night.
10 different thicknesses and different shades of white. Persistent carol singers without a note to utter. Silent carol singers are turning into butter. Now she's run out of passion, and there's not much left in me.
So maybe we'll get up and make a cup of tea.
Then people can't stop wondering what they're waiting for. Those 10 milk bottles are queuing at our door. Those 10 milk bottles are queuing at our door.
Falling in love, as the poems in this programme have shown, can lead to mental torture, lasting remorse, and even madness. But on the other hand, it's probably our only chance at true happiness. As the poet Philip Larkin once said, what will survive of this is love. If you are lucky enough to find the right person, then you could do much worse than to follow the words laid down by the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran in his famous poem, The Prophet. We can't all be perfect, but at least we can have some standards.
You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart. And the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow.
We're launching a nationwide search to find a poem for Britain. Could you write the New Jerusalem? If so, check out our website at bbc.co.uk/poetry, or you can write to us at BBC Poetry Competition, PO Box 38859, London W12 6WG.
More at 5:30 tomorrow evening on BBC Two, and for all romantics, there's a compilation of the essential poems to fall in love with in this new book to accompany the series.